from Paris. And also, as it was mentioned, I'm front-end architect at a company in the banking sector. It's called WeSave. That's a filial. It belongs to the Amundi Group. And also, I'm an occasional speaker. I speak from time to conferences. And last but not least, I am a Vue.js Paris co-organizer. So Vue.js Paris, which had been founded by Eduardo, but now he left to Berlin, so we are left alone. And now let's start with the topic. So this talk will be divided into three parts. First, I will talk about JS tools in general and problematic which are associated. In the second part, I will talk about this idea of a unified toolchain. We will go more into details into Oxy and so on. And then I will present something new, which is not that much new because it has been announced like 2 months ago, but still I wanted to preserve some suspense. I mean, you probably heard about it already, but okay. So let's go directly to the JS tool problematic. I will speak first about the ecosystem and then about the specific case of Vite. Well, JavaScript is now 31 years old, wow. And it came from a prototype language to the first language on the web. And of course, there has been like lots of, the language evolved a lot, and there has been lots of tools which appeared during this time like, to enable us to do things, basically. And yeah, if we try to have a look on a timeline, it's a bit complex, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I have a synthesis after. As you can see, like there have been like many different tools which succeeded in the history of JavaScript. And basically, I would say like we can try to synthesize that in a few periods. And that's important because I think that's important to know where we come from, to know why and where we are going now. So first, there has been like, like the area of Grunt, Gulp, this kind of tools. Who used Grunt or Gulp in his life? Oh, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, no native model and so on. Then there has been Webpack, Babel, TypeScript appeared. Then Rollup with tree shaking, like a good innovation. Prettier, ESLint. And then we had the time of tools, native tools, so tools built not on JavaScript, but on some other languages, such as Go or Rust. So ESBuild, SWC, and Vite, which is based on these tools as well. And also TurboPack, which is doing its own thing on the base of Webpack. But it's also super interesting. I mean, there is no... And yeah, and now we are more in the era of kind of unifying things, especially with Oxy and Rolldown. But we will talk about it in a few minutes. So, a problematic of these tools, they are great. Like, we are really grateful that they are there, like they enable us to do so many things. The thing is that they were not really designed in one global vision. They were not really designed to be used together. It was more like an independent initiative, more or less. So this could lead to some lack of optimization of our issues. And in particular, we have the case of Vite. So in the case of Vite, Vite relies on 2 to 3 compilers, bundlers. Just a short note about compilers and bundlers, like some of the tools, like ESBuild, does a bit of both, like bundling, compiling. Let's just agree that for the rest of the talk, I will speak about bundler, but it might also design some tools which are able to do compilation, transpilation, and stuff. I just like to avoid like saying bundler, compiler, and stuff like every time. So let's just call all of them, agree that we call all of them bundlers. So Vite is built on 2 different tools, 2 different bundles, ESBuild and Rollup, and even actually a third one for React, SWC. Anyone has an idea of why? Just a question. No? Yeah?
I don't know in English how is the JSX.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so SWC, that's for React Refresh, that's a specific case and it's mostly for React. But that's a very good point indeed. And also about ESBuild and Rollup, anyone has an idea why we have on one side ESBuild, which is built on Go, and Rollup on the other side, which is built on JavaScript? Yes? Yes. Exactly. Excellent. That's exactly that. Congratulations. ESBuild is very fast because it's built on, I don't know if everyone heard this, I just repeat it. ESBuild is very fast because it's built on Go, but it provides like some limited options, especially configurations options. So it's very useful like for the dev server, because it's so fast. But then for the production server, like for building a production build, it's not that useful because it's difficult to customize it. Like it has very limited option in terms of bundle customization and improvements. So for bundling, we use Rollup. Vite used to use Rollup, which is of course slower because it's based on JavaScript, and but which has lots of more control in the way that the bundle is done. And as I mentioned, like SWC is mostly used for React and React Refresh. So yeah, why not only one? We answered already. ESBuild is super fast because it's built on Go, but limited chunked tree shaking control, limited flexibility, especially in terms of plugins. We will talk about plugins later, and also the question of React Refresh. Rollup, chunk asset control, plugin ecosystem, excellent, but it's too slow for development. And then SWC is also fast, but it was not included in Vite by default because of a heavy bundlet. So that's a choice which has been made. So consequences of that, it's already great, but it still leads to some complexities. For example, it's complicated to have a bridge between the Rollup plugin system and ESBuild plugin system, which is way less developed, things like this. We can also have some inconsistencies between development build and production builds. You know, this kind of bugs, fortunately, this doesn't happen often, but this kind of bug which appear only in production. So yeah, that can be a thing. So which alternative do we have? First alternative, I mean, if we wanted like to have something simpler, like no 2 or 3 different bundles for it, which alternative did they have? First one would be, why not? I mean, it's worth considering it. Maybe not bundling. Yes, because we have like native ASM, HTTP2, like it can be super fast. Why not being like in dev server all the time? Well, of course, it's not really feasible because it would lead to lots of requests. Like it could lead like to a huge amount of requests, and of course to waterfalls. So this is not great. And also in terms of JS execution performance, it's not super great either. But it's worth asking. So the other option is what? Creating a new tool. An own tool which is really designed to bridge this gap that we have between, let's say, ESBuild and Rollup, like to make things simple. And so that's the mission that is on Void Zero. Who heard about Void Zero here? Yes, good, good. So Void Zero is a company which has been funded by Evan Yu. And yeah, so one of the goals of this company is to unify the whole JavaScript toolchain. And in particular, they created or maintain all these tools, so Vite, of course, Vitest, Rolldown, and Oxy. And we will focus now mostly on Rolldown and Oxy. Okay, so this leads us to the second part of the talk, which is precisely on these 2 tools. Quick question, who has heard about Oxy? And who has used it? Okay, nice. And for Rolldown? Okay, more or less the same amount, great. Okay, that's cool. So Oxy, what is Oxy? Oxy is a collection of high-performance JavaScript tools. And it's written in Rust, because yeah, you know. And why is it called Oxy? Does anyone know? Yes, oxidation? Oxidation, yeah, because we are rustifying JavaScript, so you know, rustifying oxidation, so that's the JavaScript oxidation compiler. Oxy in shorter. So yeah, that's why. And so what is Oxy made of? It is made of several different tools. On the first place, we have the Oxy parser. Because Oxy is a compiler, but also has some standalone tools like the linting and the formatting. So on the basic of all of this, there is the Oxy parser. We will talk about it later. And we have on one side all the build tools, such as Oxy Resolver to resolve files, Oxy Transform, Minify, and on the other side, some standalone tools which are designed for linting and formatting, such as Oxlint and Oxformat. So OX parser, so of course, it handles JavaScript, GSX, GS, and TS6 and GS6 files. Fun fact, it works with checker.ts. So what is checker.ts? That's a file in the TypeScript code base, which has more than 50,000 lines of code in one file. And apparently, it has become a kind of a meme in the tooling environment, where people like, if a tool is working with this precise file and working well with this precise file, it means that it is battle tested. So Oxy parser works very well with the checker.ts. And then we have the build tools, so as I mentioned, so the resolver, it's quite easy. I mean, I think we can guess what they do just out of the name. Oxy Resolver, which resolve like CGS, ESM module resolution. It is aligned with Enhanced Resolve, which is the tool of Webpack. Oxy Transform, I mean, that's same idea, like transforming TH, ES, ES+, and so on. I mean, you can guess what it does. Minify, same thing, like eliminate dead code, transforming, mangling, removing, all these things. So here's it for the build tools. And then we have the linting formatting, which are the tools you may be more likely to use directly. Oxlint, which has 650 more rules and which is growing. We will talk a bit more about it later. It has support for ESLint JS plugins. Very important point. I will come back on it later as well. And true type-aware linting powered by TSGo as well. That's an important point. OX format is in beta. It is Preter-compatible formatter. It also has additional file support, Tailwind class sorting support, and so on. Sorry, that was a bit long, but that was just like to present, and I tried to be a bit exhaustive on that. And now, Rolldown. So what is Rolldown in comparison with Oxy? So Oxy is like the basis, like all the tool chains. I mean, all, the collection of tools. And then on the top of it, we will have Rolldown, which is the bundler, which is written in Rust, and which is completely based on the Oxy toolchain. So we have the whole thing in a one global vision. So precisely, it is built on the parser, the resolver, and the transformer. So all the build tools. So basically, we have here the Oxy collection of tools, and Rolldowns just come on the top of it and use that. So let's now have a look on the benchmarks and on a bit of usage in the real life. So sorry, there will be still lots of lists and numbers, but hold on, it will be finished after. Parser is 3 times faster than MWC, 5 times faster than Vue.me, so it's pretty cool. Transformer, 4 times faster than SWC, 40 times faster than Babel, which is written in JavaScript, so I mean, it's coherent, consistent. Linter, 50 times to 100 times faster than ESLint for the same reason. ESLint is JavaScript-based. Formatter is also 3 times faster than Vue.me, 30 times faster than Prettier. Again, the same Prettier, JavaScript-based. And the resolver is 30 times faster than Webpack's enhanced resolve. So that's just to give you an idea of how performant these tools are. And yeah, few examples, like because it's cool, but are there people using it already? I mean, in a serious way? Yes, absolutely. We have Turbo Repo, who migrated from Oxlint to Oxformat. It also provides a guide for Turbo Repo-based project to migrate. Hugging Face, switch from Prettier to Oxformat. Leashes, yeah, I mean, that's just example of a few companies. And now I would like to have a focus on this notion of plugins, because I think that's one of the really important points that breaks through, even I would say, that Oxy is bringing. So a question, how do we build plugins, I mean JavaScript plugins, on native tools, like tools which are written in Go, in Rust, and so on. That may be complicated, right? Because, I mean, we have to do a bridge between two different languages. So first option, we just write all the plugins in the native language, which makes sense, right? Second option, but it makes sense, but it's not really convenient for JavaScript, TypeScript developers, right? Because if you need to add a custom plugin, like for example, if we had to write Vite plugins in Rust, I mean, that would be a bit annoying, right? So, but the first option, and probably the easiest in the term of tooling, is writing in the native language, but not the best takes ever. Other option is to write the plugins in JS and to do like a kind of bridge between the native tool and these plugins. But this traditionally hurt performance a lot. Why does it hurt performance? Well, because basically this, if you have a JS plugin somewhere in the process, let's say in the Rust process, it means that at some point you will have your data which will go from your Rust process to some JavaScript code, right? And this implies serialization, deserialization of code, at least in the traditional way, which are really costly in terms of performance. And so that's also a reason why native tools are, generally speaking, I mean, it's logic, way less configurable than JavaScript tools. Remember ESBuild and Rollup, for example. So, but the Ox team, they were not agree with that. And for them, they really wanted JavaScript and TypeScript developers to have full control on their tools. So they developed, and this is, I think, really important, really interesting. I mean, to me, it's a breakthrough. They decided that all the plugins ecosystem, I mean, not necessarily all the plugins, but there should be the possibility to write plugins in JavaScript. And they developed a way to limit and even to cut this performance issues which is associated with this data transfer between native language and JavaScript. So basically, they have two concepts that they developed for that. The first one is the row transfer. The idea is to avoid standard serialization and to use buffering data instead. And the second one is called lazy deserialization. The idea is to just select the process that are needed for the plugins. I mean, to avoid like using all the data all the time. I won't go more into details in that. I wouldn't be able to anyway. But I really, if you are interested in this kind of quite geeky information, like how the way they did that, and that's super interesting. I recommend you this talk. You should watch the talk of Jim Demet, alias Boshan on GitHub, who is the lead of Oxy. The talk is called JavaScript at the Speed of Rust, Oxy. That's a really cool talk, and it's also fun. And he gave this talk 6 months ago at the ViteConf in October. And yeah, I really recommend it. And he explains it in a very clear and cool way. So yeah, I wanted an example is OXLint. So OXLint has 650 popular lint rules, which are implemented in Rust. And now they have a JS plugin API, which is in alpha stage since March. So yeah, I wanted to emphasize that because I think that's really the best of the two worlds. Like we have the performance of Rust, but also a bridge between Rust and JavaScript. And yeah, I think it's worth highlighting it a lot. And as said Jim, we are hell-bent on destroying the barrier of JS-Rust interop. Okay, so now let's speak a bit about Rolldown. Rolldown, in terms of benchmark, it's also really impressive. So this is the official benchmark. They are building 90K modules. So basically, I don't give the details, but it's almost, I mean, it's slightly faster than ESBuild, way faster than ASPack, which is also built on Rust. And 40 times faster, no, 30-something times faster than Rollup plus ESBuild. So just, again, to give you an idea of the performance of this tool. And real-life usage, like, are we using Rollup now? Like, yes, of course, since Vite 8, so you might have heard about this. So since Vite 8, which has been announced also in March in Vue Amsterdam, Rolldown is the default Vite bundler. So it means that now, instead of having these 3 different bundles, we only have Rolldown, which is pretty cool, right? So if you are using Vite 8, you are already using Rolldown. And there is also some other things to come, especially one is really interesting in my opinion, that is the experimental bundle dev mode. Anyone had heard about that? Yes, one person, okay, cool. So it's not there yet. It will, but it's not there yet, but I think probably in the year. And the idea is to, instead having a dev mode and a bundle mode in production, since the production mode will be so fast thanks to Rolldown, like we could just use this full bundle mode also in development, which would be absolutely perfect in terms of consistency because we would work exactly on the same builds in development and in production. Okay, so we are reaching the almost the end of my talk. I haven't coughed. I'm so happy about that. Hopefully it lasts. No, sorry. I should not have said that. I knew it would happen at some point. Sorry for that. Yes, so, hello, yeah. So, something new, which is not really new because it has been announced in March. It's Vite Plus. Vite Plus, have you heard about Vite Plus? Yeah, many people, nice. So Vite Plus is basically a step, an additional step, I would say, on the top of all this unified vision and tools. So basically the idea of Vite Plus is instead to have all these different tools, to provide like a meta tool, I would say, which directly configures all the toolchain, Oxy, Rolldown, and so on. And all this through only one file, the vite.config.ts. So basically, how does it look like? It's a kind of orchestrator, and you can literally build a project with it. So here, for example, I am building the starter of a project, and you have different possibilities, library, even monorepos. You can choose package manager, agent integration, editor, and so on. And yeah, and then it generates the project. And yeah, so key features, it can manage Node.js version, package manager, so that's quite convenient. Like we don't really have to think about, okay, I have to configure this maybe in my package.json or somewhere else. Like the idea again is to unite everything in one file. Also, interesting thing, they have a monorepo task runner. So it means that Vite Plus can natively cache some tasks. So it's based on the input-output files. It's a bit like NX, but in a way, how to say, in a more simple way, I would say. In comparison with NX, actually, I had a talk with some people at NX about that. I asked them, and apparently, I mean, what is done in Vite Plus now, it could be working like 80–90% of the cases, which is already super great because it's literally out of the box. And I think that's really, really interesting. And NX, a tool like NX would be more focused on handling not only all, like normal cases, but also lots of edge cases. And also they have like few features in addition. But yeah, that was just like to say they have this feature which I think can be very useful and again, out of the box, which is very variable. Oh, this was, I was just kidding. Okay, conclusion. So we are reaching the end of the talk. Just like very quickly, key takes away. So first, like we have the full tool chain, Vite, Vitest, Rolldown. Like the idea of the talk was really to give an overview of all these tools. And also an important point is the fact that they really highlight and value the compatibility with existing tools. So for example, for Xlint, normally you should be able to migrate just out of the box because most of the rules are already supported. And if you have like a specific configuration, you probably would have a bit of work, but otherwise like it should be like completely transparent. Other point which again I wanted to highlight is the idea that they really want the JavaScript TypeScript developers to be in control of the tools, especially by providing some JavaScript plugin APIs. And yeah, just I would really recommend you to give it a try. And again, like there is lots of compatibility with existing tools. So, I mean, at least in standard configuration, it should be quite straightforward. So I wanted to thank the Vite team who helped me on this talk. And also I wanted to thank you for being here, part of the community, for listening for the conference. And yeah, thank you very much.